back, guys. Welcome to our channel, Dr. Introspect TV, and we are your hosts. So today we're going to be talking about Aladdin, the movie that came out on 24th of May. I'm sure many of you guys have seen the cartoon. I personally have seen like almost every Disney cartoon out there. And I saw the movie, and today we're going to talk about it.
Yeah, so before I dive in, I'd just like to commend Disney for such a wonderful adaptation. I mean, Aladdin was a classic, and we loved it as kids, and we love it even more now as adults. There are definitely vital lessons in there, and we're going to be talking to you about them. All right, so I'll start off with the concept of perception. There was this recurring theme about how much image influences your identity in the world, how people see you, how people treat you, and how people judge you based on how they perceive you. And when you compare how Aladdin was treated as a street rat, the names that people called him because of how he looked, and you compare how they treated him when he was walking into the castle. They welcomed him because he came with chariots and he came with, money, throwing coins at their feet. It was just, the disparity is just so obvious.
Yeah, and I also have that theme of perception because in the movie, when Aladdin came in as the Prince of Ababwa with his entourage, he had a lot of gold, he had a lot of money, he dressed like a prince. Everybody forgot, nobody knew he was a street rat, like people worshipped him, nobody cared to even fact check where Ababwa is, does it exist, but it's what they're seeing, it's the perception, and perception is really everything. And that goes back to a lot of people out there faking on Instagram, stunting for the gram, because they know perception is everything. They want to put this life that they know that when people see them and living that life, people are going to judge them based on what they see. So I definitely corroborate that. It was the same theme I got, and perception really is everything. And another theme I got is people change when they become successful. That's something I noticed in Aladdin, the movie. Like when the genie, Will Smith, good job Will Smith, when he gave him the wish to become a prince, and he actually promised the genie that he was gonna free him with his last wish, right? And if you remember, when he became the prince, and the genie told him a lot of people change and people are gonna act differently, and he was like, oh no, I'm gonna give you your last wish, I'm gonna set you free. But when he became the prince, he started changing and he was acting different. And that just goes back to people when they become successful, they change, they forget where they came from, or they forget the people that were there when they had nothing, and I thought it was an interesting story. It's happening right now in the world, and it happened in Aladdin,
Yeah, that really actually broke my heart, because the way Aladdin's character is portrayed, he seems like a really honest guy. So when he told Genie that, no, don't worry, I'm going to wish for you to be free, I was watching and I believed him. So when I saw him change and start changing his attitude and just almost becoming arrogant, I was like, who is this person? And that's really true. Like you say, like sometimes success changes people, and we have to keep that in mind as we grow. We don't want to lose our roots.
right.
The second thing for me was that Aladdin wanted to be seen. Aladdin's circumstance was overshadowing so much about his person that nobody cared to look deeper, to dig deeper into who he was. They just judged him as a street rat, as a common thief. And I felt Aladdin's pain, because in this society, the way you want people to look at you and see you as a human being. You know, you want someone to look at you and see you. And I think he even had a theme song about that, and I just really felt bad for him, and I was like, it's a need that I think all of us as people can identify with.
Yeah, and that resonates with me because in the movie it was obvious that Aladdin wanted people to see him. You know, at a point in time, you know, he was feeling uncomfortable and he actually wanted to tell Jasmine who he really was, you know, but then, you know, because of the circumstances, he didn't want to lose Jasmine. He wanted to keep her, you know, he just went with it, you know. But you can see deep down that, you know, he really wanted people to see him for himself, you know, and any other person that would have been in Aladdin's shoes probably would have done differently, you know. And it's like a cognitive dissonance where, you know, you're fighting with what you have and you're fighting with what you want, you know. So it was really, really, really insightful. I really like that theme that you just noted. For me, another theme I got was a theme of power. You know, a lot of people don't really understand what power is, and a lot of people don't understand how power can be consumed. You know, in Aladdin, when he became the prince, of course, if you're a prince, you know, you have power, right? So the power almost consumed him that he almost acted like an asshole to the genie, you know. And not only him, Jafar, you know, that was pretty much what brought Jafar's doom, you know, because Jafar wanted power. I mean, he was already number 2 to the Sultan, but it wasn't enough for him. He had the power that could actually put the Sultan in a trance, but the fact that, you know, if you remember, there was a scene when they were like, you're still number 2, you're not the Sultan. So he wanted to get more power, and even when he became a genie, that was what brought about his downfall. So yeah, power is very, very consuming.
The thing about that power thing, again, when you talk about it, for me, it's just laughable because every movie, story, the villain, they get so consumed by this power that
right.
I'm just like, can't you see what it's doing to you?
Right,
you know, when he wished himself to be a genie, and I'm like, look down, your legs are disappearing. Like, you don't have legs anymore. And I'm like, can't you see that? You know, you'd see movies where the villain is turning into a monster. He doesn't even look human anymore, and he's just happy. Haha, I'm the most powerful person in the world. I'm like, it can be maddening. You know, it's really something to bear in mind when you are going out seeking more power. It will never be enough, honestly.
It's never enough.
The third thing I noticed was Aladdin, a thief with a heart. So for me, that was an irony, because you're reconciling this two ideologies, because we know based on morality that stealing is not good. It's a crime. You will go to jail, okay? But the rationale behind Aladdin's stealing was for survival. He stole not because he's trying to become this rich bad guy, but because he really needed to survive. So you see him stealing this woman's necklace, and he's trading it for food.
Dates.
For dates that he doesn't eat in the end. He gives to kids because he felt they needed it more than he did. So it's like, wow, such a pure heart that he has, but he's doing bad things. And for me, the lesson from there was that you cannot just look at people and judge them based on their actions. You know, sometimes you have to look deeper, and you would see that come up a lot as we speak, this reference to looking deeper, because you have to look at the motivation. What is their motive behind what they're doing? You know, he's stealing, it's bad, but you can still see that they're trying to show us that he's still a good person at heart, you know.
Yeah, I thought that was really, really, wow, it was so, you know, I was so shocked because, you know, after stealing that bracelet, he traded it for dates, and my mouth was like, oh my God, you know, and then he gave to a kid. And for me, I was like,
That was the whole point.
Yeah, why did you steal?
Like you almost got caught.
You almost got caught. You went through a lot of hassle, and then you give it to your kid. But that's really, really exemplary, you know. And that goes back to show that, you know, you don't judge people for their actions. Not always. Don't always judge them. You need to understand where they're coming from, why they're doing what they're doing. Now, I'm not saying you should go and kill somebody and say, oh, I'm killing this person because of whatever reason. But, you know, basic things, you know, because people are out there starving, suffering, and to me, it kind of felt like Robin Hood, you know, stealing from the rich and giving it to the poor, you know. And I'm not saying stealing is good, don't steal, you know, but I think that Aladdin really showed a good example. His heart, he has a good heart, and, you know, he did really good. Another thing I noticed is the genie was truly a friend to Aladdin, and that just shows that people can see through you, you know, because when the genie became Aladdin's master, and when Aladdin became the genie's master, the genie said, I've never had any friend, you know. But if you remember, when Aladdin was thrown into the water, he almost died, and the genie saved him. The genie has never done that to anybody. Now you can see a difference between when he was with Jafar. You can see the genie was frowning, he was not happy, because he could see that, you know, his master is the bad master, you know. So him having Aladdin was like something refreshing, something different. He hasn't had like any person with that kind of heart, you know. Although Aladdin was tempted with power, but he was still able to remember himself.
Definitely. Definitely. And you said this theme was about
pretty much about, you know, the genie was able to see through his master, and, you know, they kind of had that bond, and the genie was able to save him.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Just to follow up on that, it kind of connects to something else I saw about how in the end who you are always comes through,
right?
You know. So when Jasmine found out that Ali and Aladdin are the same person, you know, he goes back to Genie and he's like, I thought you said people will not be able to know who I am. And Genie says, there's only so much magic can hide. You know, in the end, your person, your personality, and that just shows like you can have the flashiest of cars, you can live in the fanciest of houses, you can wear the nicest clothes. In the end, your personality, who you are, what your heart is, what that says about you is what people will be able to see in the end. And that's why Jasmine was able to spot who he was. And that is also the reason why, despite Jafar telling the genie to make him the sultan, the general of the army was still able to see through the magic and see that no, Jafar is not a good sultan. He's not the sultan. I'm not going to take orders from him. And that happened so quickly. And that, for me, what that said is that Jafar's evil is so pungent and so strong that it cannot be hidden. He really cannot hide it, even behind magic. People can see through everything and see that he's evil. So that just goes to show that you have to remember, spend time in investing in your person, you know, because that always shows through, no matter what you do.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, because I remember when the soldiers in the army, or whatever it's called, you know, they saw that Jafar was a bad leader, and they left him. And it was at that point that Jafar was like, okay, so if magic cannot buy me respect or, you know, loyalty from these people, I'm gonna make myself the most powerful person in the world. So at the end of the day, people will still see through you, you know. Like when Aladdin was trying so hard, was trying to make Jasmine like him, and Jasmine saw who he was. She eventually realized, oh, this is that guy that I met on the street. And she went on the carpet with him, they went on the ride, and he was so surprised that she recognized him. So, in the end, no matter how you try to be fake or how you try to conceal yourself, eventually people will definitely see right through you. That is one lesson I learned from the Aladdin movie.
Yeah, so just to touch on Jasmine's character, we've already spoken about the girl power movement that was,
Right.
we could see in the storyline, but Jasmine's character is depicted as a woman that is not moved by things on the surface. She's not moved by glamour. She's not moved by flashy things, rich princes. She is someone that searches for the deeper things within, and that kind of that contradicts what we said earlier about Aladdin feeling like no one sees through him because the world is superficial. But Jasmine is a woman of substance living in a superficial world, searching for substance, searching for the deeper things. And that was why she connected to Aladdin, because she felt like she can find and finally see someone real. And that is a character I really admire. It would be great if all of us are like Jasmine,
Right.
and we are searching for the deeper things in people when we see them, as opposed to just going on a whim
Just living YOLO.
by the surface.
And to me, I follow your views because if you guys remember, if you guys have seen it, the scene where the first prince came, he actually looked like a dance, and she knew that he had no substance. So when he came, she didn't even care, she didn't even flinch, she just saw him and saw that he wasn't deep. And then when Aladdin came, he came with gold. He told her, oh, I have gold, I have this, I have that, I have this. But she wasn't moved because, she didn't see that depth in him. He looked like those typical, regular, princes or whatever that come and ask for a hand in marriage. And she's like, oh, just another person, same old, same old. She didn't see that. And this was before she realized that he was before she found out that he was the guy that she met on the street, so he did everything, he danced, he did everything, and
Dance was pretty cool.
yeah, the dance was dope, but she wasn't moved, she's more of substance, she's more of depth, she wants to know what you really have to offer, and that's why she actually wanted to be the Sultan at the point in time. So I thought it was really, really, it was cool.
Do you have any other thoughts?
Well, yeah, another thing I noticed is people change. I don't know if I've already talked about it.
Yeah, you have.
Okay, I already talked about
Okay.
it.
Well, while you're thinking about other things, I'm just gonna touch on a very powerful message that I feel like if we don't pass this across in this video, it would be all for nothing.
Yep.
And it is the message about being true to who you are and self-confidence. So we could see that Aladdin struggled with his identity, and he struggled with standing in who he is as a person. He is comparing himself to these other princes that have castles, and even now that he is Prince Ali, he's comparing Ali to Aladdin.
Right.
And he's like, Ali has chariots, Ali has this, Ali has that, and he can't speak to Jasmine even though he has all these things, inferiority complex.
Right.
And Genie tells him that, look, you didn't get the girl because you had all these things. Like, the reason why this girl cared about you to want to talk to you or whatever was because of you. Right. You need to show her that person. And for me, I feel in a world of social media where you're comparing yourself to not just what you see in the magazines and blogs, but to airbrush photos, and you're just feeling like you're not enough as a person.
Right.
This message is something I think we should
there
all take
for
home.
you. Right.
Because there's nobody else like you. You're unique, and you need to stand in that and be true to yourself, and not cower and compare yourself to other things like, oh, other people, or oh, I wish I was taller, I wish I had this, I wish I had that, I wish I had more money, maybe I would be like blah blah. No. And whether you're 15 or you're 55, it's a message we can all take home.
Yeah, I think that's a really, really deep message, because a lot of people, even when they have everything they have been wanting, they don't have that confidence. There are people out there that they have nothing, but they have all the confidence in the world. You know, so even when Aladdin had all the riches, all the money, you know, he still remembered the poor Aladdin, and it was hard for him to try to merge the two together, the Prince Ali of Ababa and the poor street rat Aladdin. You know, so for me personally, it's deep, and we really need to reflect on that, because a lot of people out there, they have everything in the world, but they don't have that confidence. And some people out there have nothing, and they have all the confidence in the world. You know, so you need to search within yourself, deep down, and have that balance. Have that balance with yourself. Because it was only when Aladdin really had the balance, you know, he was like, oh, I'm Aladdin. This is who I am. That was when he was able to, he didn't even care about the prince or whatever, and then he just wanted to fight Jafar. Because at that point in time, he's like, I'm Aladdin. I'm not going to allow this facade or this persona, you know, confuse me from who I am. And that was when he had all the confidence. Because if you remember, he wasn't even able to speak to Jasmine. He couldn't even utter a word. He was almost freezing. But when he was on the streets, he was like this charming, cool guy. He was able to run, jump buildings, and do whatever, and he was able to do stuff like that. But when he had the riches, the money,
and I think
that's the confidence.
I think that's especially because he thought that she was just a regular girl.
Right.
And then when he saw her jewelry, her bracelet, and she said that she's the maid, even then he felt, okay, she's a maid.
Right, it makes the
But when
princess.
he found out that she's like the princess, and you know they're looking for a princess for her to get married, then he started to feel
inferior.
I'm not enough.
I'm not worthy.
I'm not worthy. I mean, their society in that story has a part to play, because they're looking for a prince to get her married to, and he's not a prince.
Right.
But even then, it felt like Aladdin had internalized everything everybody has ever said to him growing up. You're a pauper, you're a street rat, you're not going to amount to anything. And it was in his head. You got to shake that thing off, man. If this is you, if this is what you're struggling with, it's not you, trust me.
Yeah.
Those words are not who you are.
Those words are definitely not who you are. It was mind opening for me, you know, because it seems like it's just a remake of the cartoon, but it was much more than that.
It was much more than that.
You know, and to me personally, these lessons that we're telling you guys are take home from seeing the movie, and
yeah,
I think Disney did a great job.
Disney did an awesome job, and as we're rounding up, it would not be fair to not tell you guys that we found, like, it's a remake, but the dialogue
was really, really deep.
Was really deep, and we took the liberty of picking out some of the most inspiring quotes from that dialogue, and we're gonna leave that with you.
Share with you guys. So that's your take home from this video.
Would like to know your thoughts.
Once again, thank you guys for watching Dr. Introspect TV, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye.